So today, I'm going to give you 6 truths, 6 core shifts that will break the spell of comfort and awaken the fire inside you. Because when you're done here, you won't just understand why comfort kills. You'll know how to rise beyond it and never settle again. Let me tell you something. Most people never realize until it's too late. Comfort is the silent killer of your potential. It doesn't come in with drama or noise. It doesn't announce itself. It just shows up quietly in your daily routines, your excuses, your patterns, your just for now thinking. And before you know it, years have passed, you haven't moved, you haven't stretched, you haven't lived. You see, the most dangerous place in the world isn't out there in some battlefield or boardroom. It's the place where you feel most safe doing the least. It's your comfort zone. And I get it. Comfort feels good. It feels secure. You know what to expect. There's no risk, no rejection, no failure, but also no progress, no breakthrough, no greatness. Most people don't quit on their dreams because they fail. They quit because they get comfortable. They say, I'll try later. I'm okay where I am, maybe next year. And slowly that spark inside them starts to dim. Not because they couldn't go further, but because they never demanded more from themselves when they had the chance. And let's be real, comfort doesn't just steal your ambition, it dulls your hunger. You stop chasing, you stop creating, you stop feeling that fire that once drove you. It's like being emotionally sedated by routine. You wake up every day and go through the motions. You check the boxes. You keep everything fine. But you know deep inside, fine is not what you came here for. You weren't born for a lukewarm life. You weren't born to just exist, pay bills, and wait for someday to feel alive. You were born with something powerful in you, something that needs resistance to be revealed. You grow when you stretch. You rise when you're under pressure. You evolve when you're challenged. So if you're sitting in a place right now where everything feels comfortable, ask yourself, am I really okay? Or have I just stopped demanding more from myself? Have I stopped listening to that inner voice that's begging me to take a leap, to step up, to stop playing small? Because here's the truth. The longer you stay comfortable, the more it becomes a cage. And the scariest part is, it doesn't look like a cage. It looks like a cozy home, a steady paycheck, a predictable life. But inside, you're shrinking. Your spirit is starving. And the worst part, most people will never know what they could have become because comfort convinced them to never try. So if you want more, if you know deep in your gut there's another level for you, then you've got to start treating comfort like the enemy it really is. Because the moment you stop settling for comfort, that's the moment you start waking up your potential. That's the moment life begins to change. Most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid failure like it's some kind of death sentence. But let me tell you something real. Failure isn't the enemy, stagnation is. Failure is feedback. Failure is a sign you're moving. It means you're in the game. You're on the field. You're pushing limits. Stagnation? That's when you stop trying. That's when the dream fades. That's when you quietly start giving up without even realizing it. People will do anything to avoid the feeling of failure. They'll play small, they'll lower their standards, they'll avoid the risk. And you know what that does? It builds a life that looks safe on the outside but feels empty on the inside. Because deep down, you know you're capable of more, but you're too busy trying not to fall that you never fly. Every person you admire, every champion you've ever seen, every leader, every innovator, they all failed repeatedly. But what separates them from everyone else is this. They never let failure define them. They let it refine them. They took the hit, they felt the pain, but they got up. And every time they got back up, they got stronger, sharper, more relentless. That's how real transformation happens. But stagnation convinces you to stay in motion without direction. It's when you're busy but going nowhere. It's when you make excuses sound like strategy. I'm not ready yet. Timing's not right. I'm still thinking it through. That's the voice of stagnation disguising itself as wisdom. And the longer you sit in that space, the harder it becomes to escape it because it starts to feel normal. It becomes your new baseline. You've got to ask yourself, am I afraid of failing or am I just afraid of being seen trying and not succeeding? Because when you avoid failure, what you're really doing is avoiding growth. You're saying, I'm more committed to looking good than becoming great. And that mindset, it will bury your future. The truth is, failure builds muscle, emotional muscle, mental muscle, spiritual muscle. It humbles your ego, teaches you discipline, and fuels your hunger. You don't grow from your wins, you grow from your wounds, from the lessons that hurt, from the moments you thought you couldn't recover from, and then you did. That's what builds character. That's what creates leaders. That's what transforms lives. So stop trying to tiptoe through life avoiding failure like it's something to fear. The only thing to fear is staying stuck. The only thing to fear is reaching the end of your life and realizing you never really tried. Not because you couldn't, but because you were too comfortable doing nothing that could ever break you. If you're going to fall forward, fall with purpose, but for God's sake, don't stand still. The comfort zone is a liar. It promises you peace, safety, control, but underneath it all, it's just fear dressed up in cozy language. It whispers, stay here. You're doing okay. Don't rock the boat. And you start to believe it. You start to think, maybe this is enough. Maybe I should be grateful. Maybe it's too late to want more. But that voice isn't wisdom. That's the voice of limitation. That's the lie that keeps you in a life that's smaller than the one you were made for. See, the comfort zone is seductive. It's not loud. It doesn't pressure you. It just gently lulls you into routines, into habits, into a rhythm that doesn't challenge you, doesn't stretch you, doesn't force you to become more. And the problem is, it's sneaky because life still looks normal. You're going to work, paying your bills, posting pictures, checking your goals off a list, but something deep inside feels flat, like you're moving, but you're not progressing, like you're alive, but not fully engaged. And that's the trap. You think just because you're not in pain, you're okay. But numbness isn't peace. It's stagnation. It's the slow erosion of your spirit. You don't feel the urgency to change because nothing's wrong is not the same as everything's right. The comfort zone convinces you to stop asking for more, to stop demanding growth, to stop demanding growth, to stop demanding growth, to stop demanding growth. The people who break through, the ones who rise, who lead, who make something unforgettable out of their life, they don't wait for comfort. They seek out discomfort on purpose. They understand that nothing extraordinary ever comes from staying where it's easy. They walk into challenge. They lean into fear, not because they like the pain, but because they crave the growth. Because they know the lie, comfort might feel safe, but it costs everything. You think you're protecting yourself by staying comfortable, but what you're really doing is protecting your limitations. You're keeping your fears intact, your wounds untouched, your story small. And the longer you stay there, the more that lie becomes your truth. Until one day you wake up and realize you didn't live the life you were capable of, you just lived the one that felt safe. But you don't have to stay there. You can rip that lie out by its roots and step into something real, something powerful, something uncertain, yes, but alive. Because your greatness does not live in the familiar. It lives beyond the line your comfort zone tells you not to cross. And if you really want to grow, if you really want to become who you were born to be, then it's time to stop believing the lie and start living the truth. If you're uncomfortable right now, good. That's exactly where transformation begins. Discomfort isn't the enemy. It's the signal, it's the invitation, it's the universe tapping you on the shoulder saying, wake up, you're not done yet. But most people run from that feeling. They numb it, they ignore it, they distract themselves with busyness, entertainment, convenience, anything to avoid facing what discomfort is trying to teach them. But here's the truth most people miss. Discomfort is the doorway to growth. Every time you feel that tension, that fear, that uncertainty, it's because you're standing on the edge of becoming more than you were yesterday. And the reason it feels so uncomfortable is because you're shedding an old version of yourself. And growth, real growth, is not supposed to feel easy. It's supposed to feel like pressure, like resistance, like stretching a muscle that hasn't been used in a while. You don't get stronger in the comfort zone. You get weaker. You lose your edge. You lose your hunger. You start shrinking your dreams to match your environment instead of expanding your capacity to match your vision. And it's not because you're broken. It's because you're wired for comfort unless you make the decision to chase discomfort on purpose. Think about this. When you go to the gym and you lift heavier weight, your muscles break down first. That's the process. They literally tear before they grow. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, but if you stop the moment it hurts, you never get stronger. That's exactly how life works. You hit a wall emotionally, financially, physically, spiritually, and instead of seeing that as a barrier, you've got to see it as your next rep. One more rep. That's how you build inner strength. That's how you build a life worth living. But most people don't push through the rep. They quit. Or they wait for the discomfort to go away before they act. And they miss the magic. Because everything you want, everything that matters, is on the other side of that discomfort. Confidence on the other side. Discipline on the other side. Love, leadership, wealth, peace, purpose. It's all waiting for you beyond what feels uncomfortable right now. So if you're scared, good. If you're uncertain, good. If you feel like you don't know what the hell you're doing, even better. That means you're alive. That means you're in motion. That means you're exactly where growth is happening. And when you make discomfort your ally, not your enemy, you start playing life on a completely different level. You stop avoiding the hard things and start using them to forge the strongest version of yourself. Discomfort isn't punishment, it's preparation. You know what most people think they're afraid of? Failure. But that's not it. What they're really afraid of is feeling. They're not afraid of the event. They're afraid of the emotion, the shame, the embarrassment, the guilt, the frustration, the rejection, that sting you feel in your chest when something doesn't go the way you hoped, that ache in your gut when the world sees you fall short. That's what people are really running from. Because let's be honest, failure isn't that bad. Most of the time, failure just means something didn't work the way you planned. That's all. But we turn it into this massive story. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I'll never make it. What will they think of me? And that story becomes heavier than the failure itself. That story paralyzes people more than any outcome ever could. We've been taught to fear emotions instead of master them. So what happens? We avoid the situation altogether. You don't speak up. You don't ask. You don't launch. You don't take the leap. And it's not because you don't want it. It's because you've convinced yourself that feeling that kind of pain would be unbearable. But here's the twist. The pain of never trying is always worse. Always. It's just quieter. It creeps in over time. It eats at you slowly. And you carry that regret with you for years. The most powerful people you know, they didn't get that way because they avoided fear. They got that way because they walked through it. They trained themselves to sit in the fire of emotion and not run. They made peace with the truth that pain is a part of the process. They didn't numb it. They didn't suppress it. They felt it fully and used it as fuel, because on the other side of that fear is clarity, confidence, and strength. But you only get there by going through it, not around it. You can't lead a powerful life if you're constantly avoiding discomfort. And I don't just mean physical discomfort. I mean emotional exposure, being willing to be seen, being willing to mess up publicly, being willing to get it wrong, to hear no, to fall and fail in front of people you care about. Because when you stop fearing feelings, you stop holding back. You start doing the thing that scares you, and that's when your life starts to shift. You've got to stop treating emotions like enemies. They're signals, teachers. They're the price of progress. You want transformation? You've got to get comfortable with the full range of human experience, the highs and the lows. Because every time you resist an emotion, you resist a part of yourself. And that part might be the exact strength you need to get to the next level. So don't run from the feeling, run toward the growth behind it. At some point, you have to decide what matters more, comfort or legacy. Because you don't get to have both. You can live a comfortable life, predictable and easy, full of small wins and soft landings, or you can live a life that leaves a mark, a life that echoes. But those two roads do not run side by side. They split. And every day, with every choice, you're picking one, whether you realize it or not. Courage is the currency of a meaningful life, not talent, not timing, not even intelligence. It's courage. It's the decision to step forward when every part of you wants to step back. It's saying yes to risk. It's choosing to show up when it would be easier to sit down. That kind of courage doesn't grow in comfort. It grows when you're willing to go where others won't, do what others avoid, and become someone you've never been before. Comfort will sell you the illusion that you're living well. It'll wrap you in security, tell you you're smart for playing it safe, and whisper that you've already done enough. But deep inside, you'll feel it, the ache, that quiet sense that you were meant for more. Not just more stuff, not more applause, but more meaning, more depth, more impact. And no matter how good comfort looks on the outside, that voice won't let you rest because it knows. It knows you're playing small. It knows you're hiding. There's a difference between surviving and leading, a difference between existing and evolving. You weren't made to drift. You were made to drive, to lead, to lift others through your own example. And that kind of life requires boldness, not the kind of boldness that makes noise, but the kind that makes decisions, the kind that says, I don't know what's next, but I refuse to stay here. You're not here just to avoid pain. You're here to pursue purpose. And that path is not always smooth. It's steep. It's uncertain. Sometimes it's lonely. But that's where you discover what you're really made of. That's where your character is carved. That's where you meet the version of you that doesn't shrink, doesn't flinch, doesn't back down. You want to be remembered? You want to leave something behind that matters? You've got to stop chasing what's comfortable and start chasing what's true. You've got to stand for something that matters more than your fear. You've got to look your comfort zone in the eye and say, thanks for the shelter, but I'm building something bigger now. Because comfort might offer you ease today, but it will cost you everything tomorrow. And your legacy is built on the days you chose courage.